You see, the world doesn't break you all at once. It doesn't hit you with a bat and call it a day. No, it's more elegant than that, more cruel. It tears you down little by little. It shows you glimpses of hope, then drags you by the throat into the dirt just when you start believing again. That's how it works. That's how it always works. And you're standing there like a fool, wondering why people changed, why the ones you would have burned the world for lit the match under your feet. But I'll tell you why. Because people don't really change. They just reveal themselves when your usefulness runs dry. That's the truth they never taught you growing up. That this game isn't played fair. That loyalty doesn't matter in a world that worships gain. You gave them your all, and what did you get back? Silence, distance, that cold shoulder you never earned, and now you're sitting there, soaked in your own loyalty, like it was a weakness instead of a weapon. But guess what? Tables always turn. Oh yes, they do. You think your pain is permanent? Think again. This world, it forgets fast, but it regrets even faster. They'll remember you not by your love, but by your silence, your disappearance, the calm before the storm they never saw coming. Because when the tables turn, and they will, it won't be your hands that are shaking. It'll be theirs. They'll look back and realize they played with someone who would have gone through hell barefoot just to see them smile. And they replaced that with someone who couldn't even spell loyalty. Funny, isn't it? How they always realize too late. But your job? It's not to wait for them, not to beg, not to scream into the void hoping they wake up. No, your job now is to build in silence. Become the ghost they can't touch, but will never forget. Because nothing haunts like the person who could have destroyed them, but chose to walk away. I know you want to explode. You want to show them the monster they made. But trust me, real monsters don't roar. They wait. They observe. They learn. And when it's time, they don't show teeth. They leave bite marks in history. So let them laugh now. Let them call you soft, weak, too emotional, too loyal. Let them mock your silence like they understand it. Because soon, that silence will become their echo chamber. Every time they close their eyes, they'll see the version of you they discarded. But not the broken one, no. The one who rose from ashes they left behind. And that's when they'll choke on the very arrogance they used to walk away from you. You won't even need to speak. Your absence will be the loudest scream they ever hear. That's how you win this. That's how the tables turn. Not with rage, but with reinvention. You think you're alone? Good. Be alone. Learn what solitude tastes like. It's bitter at first, but soon it becomes power. No noise, no fake smiles, no betrayal. Just you, your demons, and the fire they sparked. Burn with it. Train with it. Build your empire brick by painful brick, because when you rise, and you will, they'll all act surprised. They'll say you changed, that you became heartless. But what they won't say is that they watched you drown and did nothing, that they held the matches while you begged for light. So don't explain yourself when your time comes. Let your success be your vengeance. Let your silence be your justice. And let your glow blind the very ones who left you in the dark. The tables always turn, my friend. The only question is, will you be ready when they do? You want them to understand your pain? Forget it. People don't understand pain until it's their turn to bleed. You begged for understanding, for honesty, for just one damn moment where someone looked at you and said, I see you. But all you got was eyes that stared through you, words that twisted your loyalty into guilt, and silence when you needed the loudest comfort. That's the part they'll never tell you, how the kindest souls get punished first. You were too soft for this world, too real, too honest. You showed up when it wasn't convenient. You stayed when others fled. You carried weight that wasn't yours, all because your heart couldn't handle the idea of someone else suffering. And in return, you got overlooked. You got thrown into the same pile as the fakes and the users. That's the curse of having a pure heart. It gets mistaken for weakness, and then trampled by the very feet you would have cleaned wounds for. But here's the plot twist they never see coming. The ones they buried don't die. They evolve. So you sit there in silence, carrying a war in your chest, while the world spins like nothing happened. But there's a beauty in that pain, because it's birthing a version of you they never expected to meet. Every tear, every sleepless night, every time you bit your tongue instead of screaming back, that's training. That's evolution in disguise. See, the pain didn't come to ruin you. It came to refine you. And when it's done, you won't need revenge. You'll become it. You'll walk into rooms, and their smiles will fade. Not because you said a word, but because your silence now screams, I'm not the one you left. I'm the one who learned. And that version of you, that's the one they'll regret. That's the version they'll chase in others but never find. Because you're not recreatable. You were real in a sea of masks. That was your crime. That's why they couldn't handle you. You didn't fit their comfort zones. You were too deep for their shallow games. Let me tell you something hard to swallow. They didn't just hurt you by accident. No, they knew what they were doing. They felt the shift. They saw you pull away, and they let you. They watched you question yourself, drown in doubt, and they chose silence. That's not love. That's convenience. And you're not here to be anyone's maybe. So stop waiting for closure from people who benefited from your confusion. You owe them nothing. Not a text, not an explanation, Not a single piece of the piece you had to rebuild from the ground up. You are your own redemption. You are your own miracle. But only if you stop trying to get back what already tried to break you. You can't fix people who choose to see your worth only after they've destroyed it. You can't pour into hands that never learned how to hold you right. And you damn sure can't keep bleeding for people who watch you suffer and call it growth. No more apologies for outgrowing your past. No more guilt for being the one who gave too much. No more chasing. No more begging to be seen. From now on, you walk, head high, soul intact. And if they ever wonder what happened to you, let them. Let them replay every moment they chose to misunderstand you. Let them feel the void you left like a winter that doesn't end. You gave them warmth. They answered with frost. So now, be the storm. Not for them, for you. Because if you don't rise now, you'll spend the rest of your life shrinking to fit inside places you've already outgrown. And I swear, nothing is more painful than playing small just to keep the peace with people who never give a damn about your war. You were born to disrupt, to awaken, to make the liars uncomfortable and the fakes shake. Own that. The tables are turning, and this time, you're not sitting down. You know what's funny? The people who broke you will be the first to act confused when you finally go cold. They'll tilt their heads, wear that fake concern like a mask, and ask, "What happened to you?" As if they weren't the ones who watched you drown and handed you stones instead of rope. As if their absence, their silence, their backhanded words, their selfish love weren't what froze your soul. You didn't just wake up one day and stop caring. You were drained, emptied, shattered quietly. And when no one noticed your pain, you decided to stop broadcasting it. You started learning to be your own rescue team. Because no one's coming. That's the truth no one wants to say out loud. No one is coming to fix you. No one is going to sit beside you and clean up the mess they helped make. And the sooner you accept that, the stronger you become. Pain taught you more than love ever did. It taught you who's real when it gets dark. It taught you that some people love you until you stop being convenient. And then, they vanish. They act like they never saw your scars, never heard your shaking voice when you begged for understanding. But don't you dare break for them again. Don't you dare fold just to make them comfortable. They had their chance. They had your loyalty wrapped around their fingers, and they squeezed until it bled. You were gold. They were blind. Now let them live with that blindness. Let them wander through empty versions of what they think love is. Because what you gave, that was rare. That was one of one. That was the kind of love that people pray for when it's too late. You were all in. Heart first. No games, no masks, just you. Unfiltered, raw, real. And they couldn't handle it. Not because you were too much, but because they were too little, too shallow, too scared to face the weight of something genuine. So they ran to the easy, the predictable, the ones who don't challenge their cowardice. But deep down, they know. Oh, they know. The love you gave them won't come again. Not in that way. Not in that form. You were the miracle they mishandled. The calm they corrupted. The light they dimmed. And one day, when silence starts screaming louder than your presence ever did, they'll wish they had just held on. You owe it to yourself to stop hoping they'll come back with remorse in their eyes. Because even if they do, it's not regret. It's ego. It's emptiness. It's the consequence of watching someone glow without them. They don't miss you. They miss the version of themselves that existed when you were still pouring your soul into them. They miss the comfort, the attention, the healing they got at your expense, and they'll try to spin it. Make you feel guilty for becoming guarded, for finally locking the doors they used to walk through, like they owned the place. But don't open it again. Don't let nostalgia trick you into forgetting how it felt when they forgot you. Don't let their sudden interest revive your old wounds, because the moment you show warmth again, they'll remember how to burn you. People don't change, they just adjust their tactics. So keep your distance, not out of hate, but out of wisdom. You've earned that silence. You've earned that peace. Let them rot in the chaos they created. You didn't change because you wanted to. You changed because they forced you to. You became cold because the fire inside you was used to keep everyone else warm. They say you've changed, like it's an insult, like it's something you should apologize for. But what they don't understand is that you didn't wake up and decide to become this version of yourself out of nowhere. You were shaped by betrayal, molded by abandonment, sharpened by every silent cry that went unheard. This version of you, the one that doesn't reply right away, the one that no longer explains or justifies, the one that walks away without a scene, that's not rudeness, that's not bitterness, that's survival. That's the product of learning the hard way that your kindness was currency in a world full of thieves. You gave your loyalty like a gift, and they treated it like a burden. You showed up, even bleeding, and they still questioned your value. So now, you walk like you've got nothing to prove, because you don't. The only person you ever needed to convince was the one in the mirror. And that person has seen the hell you crawled through. That person remembers the nights you stayed up trying to understand why being real felt like a punishment. That person watched you beg for love in places that only offered conditions and cold stares. You don't owe anyone a damn thing. Not your past, not your explanation, not your softness, especially not the people who vanished when you needed them most. The ones who were loud in your wins, but silent in your losses. The ones who praised your strength until it inconvenienced them. Let them talk. Let them twist your story to fit their cowardice. Because soon enough, the world will see what you've been building in the dark. And when you rise, they'll act like they always believed in you. Don't fall for it. Remember the looks. Remember the silence. Remember how you were the one who had to lift yourself out of every emotional grave they left you in. You clawed your way up without a hand to hold. That strength? That's not taught. That's earned. And it's yours. So now you walk with your chin up, not because you're arrogant, but because you earned your place. You endured what others would have folded under. You carried pain that should have broken you, but it didn't. It built you. And now you're the storm. You're not coming for revenge. You're coming for everything they said you'd never be. And when the tables turn, and they always do, it won't be about revenge. It'll be about realization, about watching their faces shift when they see the version of you they never thought you'd become. When they realize the one they doubted became untouchable. And they'll try to come back. Oh yes, they will. Not because they love you, but because they can no longer access the power they used to drain. They'll say things like, I miss the old you. But what they really miss is the version of you who tolerated their bullshit, who smiled through tears, who stayed even when staying meant dying a little inside. That version is gone, buried, replaced by someone who doesn't beg to be understood, who doesn't waste breath explaining the value of something priceless. You are no longer a chapter in someone else's story. You're the whole damn book. And the best part? You're still being written, still unfolding. And every page is soaked in the ink of your survival. You ever realize how quiet the world gets when you stop chasing people? It's almost peaceful, until you start hearing the echoes of your own past, your own pain, your own voice, asking questions that never got answered. You sat there, didn't you? Wondering why they didn't care, why they let you fall, why they chose to hurt you instead of just leaving, honestly. And for a while, you thought it was you. You thought you weren't enough, not strong enough, not funny enough, not calm enough, not loud enough, just not enough. But let me put this in your head real clear. It was never you. They just weren't capable of handling someone who actually gave a damn. Someone who wasn't trying to use them, impress them, or manipulate them. You were the truth in a world full of performers, and that truth scared them. Because when someone like you walks in the room, the masks fall off. You expose their mediocrity just by existing. And that kind of light, it's blinding to the ones who spent their lives in shadows. So now here you are, no longer reaching, no longer checking in, no longer explaining your worth like it's on trial. And guess what? That silence, it's your weapon now. It speaks louder than anything you ever said, while begging to be understood. You're no longer the fool who confuses their absence for your guilt. You've stepped into a new version of yourself, one that doesn't need permission to be powerful, one that doesn't need validation to feel valuable, one that's learned the harshest lesson of all. People will treat you exactly how they feel about themselves. And if they're insecure, broken, unsure, they'll project it all onto you. You could give them heaven, and they'd spit on the clouds. You could hand them peace, and they'd stir chaos just to feel alive. But that's not your battle anymore. That's not your responsibility. You're done being a savior for people who drown themselves. So, see, the old you, that version was built on hope. Hope that people could change. Hope that love was enough. Hope that being good would attract good. But now you're built on truth, on scars, on memories that still sting when the wind hits just right. And there's something unstoppable about a person who's found strength in the storm that was meant to destroy them. You stopped trying to fix the unfixable. You stopped setting yourself on fire just to keep others warm. You let the bridges burn, and this time, you're not swimming across the ashes to prove you're loyal. Let them stand on the other side and watch. Watch as you build something better without them. Watch as you thrive, not because you moved on fast, but because you finally realized you never needed their half-love to begin with. So when the tables turn, and oh, they're already turning, don't flinch, don't respond, don't give them the closure they never deserved. Let them sit in the silence they left you in. Let them taste the distance they created. And when they start missing you, let them miss you in full. Not the edited version, not the happy moments. Let them remember it all. The tears, the confusion, the calls they ignored, the messages left unread, the moments they dismissed your love like it was disposable. Let them remember the way they made you feel small when you were doing your best to love them big. Because that's the thing about people who lose someone genuine. They never realize what they had until it's reincarnated in someone who won't give them the time of day. And you're already gone. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You've evolved. And evolution doesn't explain itself to those still stuck in survival mode. The tables have turned, and you've got nothing to prove to anyone who couldn't see your worth when it was standing right in front of them. They'll never admit it out loud, but they feel it. That shift, that silence, that weight of your absence. It's crawling under their skin, poking at their peace, whispering in the back of their mind that they messed up something sacred. And no matter how loud they laugh, how busy they stay, or how many distractions they chase, it haunts them. You see, people think losing you is like misplacing a phone, that they can just find it later, pick it up, scroll through the memories, and it'll all feel the same. But losing you, that's like losing a piece of themselves they never realized was holding them together. It's not replaceable. It's not retrievable. You weren't something they just had. You were something they were blessed with. And blessings, when misused, don't come twice. You gave your all. That's what hurts the most, right? That you gave love with both hands, wide open, no tricks, no lies, no hesitation. And they took it like it was nothing, like you were nothing. They got used to the way you showed up, assumed you'd always be there, assumed you'd always forgive, always answer, always care. But they never saw the slow burn behind your eyes. They never noticed the way your soul started retreating, step by step, until one day you were gone, and they didn't even hear the door close, because they were too busy looking for the next high, the next distraction, the next temporary thrill. And now they feel the cold in rooms that used to be filled with your warmth. Now they scroll through photos they used to ignore. Now they listen to songs you once played, and every line stings like a memory they can't erase. But guess what? That's not your burden anymore. That's not your pain to carry. You mourned it. You lived it. You died in it and came back sharper. You're no longer the same. Not because you stopped loving, but because you finally started loving yourself. And that, my friend, is the part they never expected. They thought you'd crumble. They thought you'd call. They thought you'd beg. But instead, you went quiet. You got better. You cut the dead weight. You stopped explaining your worth to people who only saw it when you were gone. And now, you're a ghost in their story. One they can't contact, can't touch, can't replace. You were the light in their dark. And now they sit in shadows of their own making. And let that sink in. You were their light. You were the one who tried, who stayed, who held them down even when your own world was crumbling. And still, they let you slip. They threw away diamonds while chasing glitter. Now, let them live with the dust. People like them only understand value when it's too late, and when the silence turns into screams inside their own heads. Don't answer. When they finally show up with apologies soaked in nostalgia, don't respond. You already gave them more chances than they deserved, more love than they earned, and they wasted it all. So now, you give them what they gave you. Nothing. No closure. No explanation, just distance, just absence. Because sometimes silence isn't empty, it's full of everything they failed to hear when you were still speaking. So walk away and never look back. Not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself more than you love the idea of what could have been. And that's power. That's growth. That's what turning tables really look like. The day you stopped bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage, that was the day the game changed. There comes a moment when even the most forgiving heart goes quiet. Not because it stopped caring, but because it finally realized caring alone was killing it. That moment is the turning point. It's the calm before the silence that wrecks everything. You lived for others for too long, didn't you? Gave until your hands bled, loved until your chest felt hollow. Stayed loyal even when loyalty started to feel like a death sentence. You kept showing up for people who wouldn't even flinch if you disappeared. And the worst part? You weren't looking for anything grand in return. Just honesty, just effort, just respect. But they couldn't even give you that. Because when you live in a world where fake is praised and real is questioned, your presence becomes uncomfortable. Your truth rattles their illusions. Your intensity makes their shallow love seem even thinner. And when they couldn't rise to meet you, they chose to pull you down instead. They mocked your depth. They abused your patience. They mistook your endurance for stupidity. And now that you've walked away, they feel the hole, but still won't admit they dug it themselves. You ever notice how the ones who hurt you always paint themselves as the victim after you leave? They rewrite the story, twist the facts, remove the parts where you gave them everything and only asked for consistency in return. To the world, they cry, "You changed." And maybe you did, but not in the way they sell it. You changed because you had to. You changed because being the old, you meant dying quietly while smiling through betrayal. You changed because every time you forgave them, they saw it as permission. Every time you stayed, they thought it was weakness. So you evolved. You let the pain shape you, not destroy you. You let the lessons scar you, not shatter you. And now, you move different. You see through the smiles. You recognize the patterns. You no longer ignore the signs just because you want someone to be better than they are. You stopped watering dead gardens. And that right there is why they can't reach you anymore. They'll come back. Maybe not with words, maybe not with a knock on your door, but with energy, with indirect posts, with mutual friends asking about you, with sudden check-ins from people who swore they forgot you. But you'll feel it, that shift, that pull, that moment when the universe whispers, they miss you. But don't go back. Don't answer. Don't fall for the illusion that missing you is the same as valuing you. It's not. People miss you for selfish reasons. They miss your comfort, your attention, your effort, not your soul. If they valued that, they wouldn't have lost it. Missing you is easy. Changing for you is hard. And most don't want to do the hard part. They just want to pick up where they left off, hoping you're still broken enough to welcome them with open arms. But not this time. Not in this season. This time, you're different. This time, you've built a version of yourself that doesn't need validation from the same ones who buried you in doubt. And look at you now, still standing, after everything, after the lies, the betrayal, the nights you questioned your worth, the moments you begged God for answers. you're still here. And not just surviving, becoming. Becoming everything they said you'd never be. Becoming the silence that screams louder than your old voice ever could. Becoming the proof that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. That choosing peace over pain isn't running, it's winning. So, the next time you feel that doubt creeping in, remember this: they didn't break you. They refined you. They sharpened your edges. They carved out the weakness. And now, you are steel. Cold to those who brought chaos. Solid for those who bring peace. And unrecognizable to those who once knew the old you. Because the tables didn't just turn, they flipped. And now, it's you who sits in control. You know what they don't expect? That silence from you. That distance. That absolute stillness. See, people get so comfortable thinking they've got time. Time to mistreat you, to ignore you, to use you, and leave you and circle back when it suits them. They think you'll always be there, arms open, heart ready, soul unguarded. But the silence, that's when they start panicking. Because they realize you're not angry, you're done. And when someone like you is done, there's no fireworks, no screaming, no scenes, just quiet. And in that quiet, that's where the real damage lives. Because the version of you they were so used to, the one that over-explained, that tried too hard, that waited for them to get it right, is gone. Now, you're a ghost that breathes success, that walks in peace, that moves in power. Now, your absence has more presence than your words ever did. And that scares them, because it means they've lost access, not to your time, not to your body, but to your energy. And your energy, that was the gift. That was the light. That was the warmth they took for granted until it disappeared and left them cold. They'll try to replace you. They'll run to someone else, hoping to recreate the comfort they didn't appreciate. But let them. Let them settle for substitutes. Let them choke on the shallow connections they chose over your depth. Because while they're out there pretending they're happy, playing dress up with someone who only knows their surface, you're building, you're evolving, you're learning how to love yourself in ways they never could. And the best part? You're not looking back, not even once, because you finally realized something they hoped you'd never figure out. You were the prize. You were the healing. You were the answer. And they were just a lesson, a harsh one, a necessary one, but a lesson nonetheless. They taught you everything you needed to know about what not to accept, about how to spot red flags painted white, about how to recognize when love is real and when it's just control dressed up in temporary affection. You're no longer asking, why me? Now you're saying, thank you. Thank you for the pain. Thank you for the betrayal. Thank you for walking away, because in doing so, you freed me. You gave me the space I didn't know I needed to become who who I was always meant to be. You lit a fire in me that your love never could. You were my trigger, not my anchor. And now that I'm free, I don't even need revenge. I am the revenge, my growth, my glow, my peace. That's the punishment. That's what they'll never escape. Because no matter how far they run, they'll always know they lost someone irreplaceable. Someone who saw them, held them down, gave them chances the world never would. And they blew it. All of it. For nothing. For ego. For the illusion of better. And now, they'll live with that regret. Quietly. Forever. While you rise without them. So keep rising. Keep building. Keep walking. Don't pause to look back at the wreckage. They built that. Not you. You just survived it. You just stepped over it. You just became the version of yourself that they swore you never would. And now, every move you make, every smile you wear, every ounce of peace you carry, that's a reminder to them that tables do turn. And when they do, the ones who once had power over your peace now sit powerless, watching you become everything they thought you couldn't be. That's your victory. That's your revenge. That's your freedom. And don't let them fool you with that sudden interest either. That just checking in message. That fake concern wrapped in a casual, "How have you been?" They're not coming back because they love you. They're coming back because they can feel your energy shifting away from them. They sense the disconnect. The control they used to have, gone. The version of you that waited for their validation, that clung to every word, that bent over backwards just to keep the bond alive. That version doesn't exist anymore. And that scares them. Because they thought you'd never wake up. They thought you'd always be there. Apologizing for things you didn't even do, crying over temporary people, shrinking yourself to fit in spaces never meant for someone like you. But now you've grown. You've stepped out of the prison you used to call love. And once someone like you tastes freedom, real, bitter earned freedom, there's no going back. And let's be real, they don't miss you. They miss the access, the benefits, the way you made them feel important when they were nothing but inconsistent. You gave them love without conditions, loyalty without tests, presence without performance. And they treated it like it was disposable. So now they're out there, searching for your energy in people who don't even know how to hold a real conversation, let alone a real heart. And they're failing, miserably. Because you weren't just a chapter. You were the whole damn plot twist. You were the one who showed them what real connection felt like. And now that you're gone, they're left with echoes of your voice, your love, your effort. Echoes that bounce around in the silence they created when they let you go. It's funny, isn't it? How people forget the things they did until the consequences come knocking. They forget how they ignored you when you needed them the most. They forget how they talked down to you, how they made you feel small, how they turned your love into a burden. But the second you heal, the second you glow without them, they want to act like nothing happened, like the wounds they gave you weren't deep, like the scars don't still burn in the cold. But you remember, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom, because that pain, it built you, it taught you, it turned you into something they'll never touch again. And that's what kills them the most. Not that you moved on, but that you moved on better. So let them watch. Let them scroll through your life from a distance. Let them hear about your success from people who still clap when you win. You don't need to prove anything to them. You don't need to reply. You don't need to explain your silence, because your peace speaks volumes. Your absence is a mirror they're forced to look into. And in that reflection, they don't see the person they tried to break. They see the one who survived, the one who built without them, who found purpose in the pain they caused. That's the real shift. That's the moment the tables slam into position and the power flips. They had you, they lost you, and now you walk like no one can touch you because no one can. You've been to hell and walked back holding your own hand. That kind of strength, it doesn't get shaken by fake apologies or recycled affection.